Here's something that will change how you think about fish safety forever. Flounder has a mean mercury concentration of 0.056 parts per million. That's 0.056. To put this in perspective, that's half the mercury of cod, less than half the mercury of canned tuna, and 1/3 the mercury of bass. In fact, flounder has the lowest mercury level of any major commercial fish species regularly consumed in the United States. The FDA classifies it in the best choices category with absolutely no consumption restrictions for anyone, including pregnant women, nursing mothers, and young children. And in the next 10 minutes, you'll discover why this master of camouflage, this flatfish that can change color to match the seafloor and bury itself in sand in seconds, represents one of the most fascinating processing operations in the Atlantic fishing industry. Let's start with biology that seems like it came from science fiction. Flounder are flatfish, but they don't start that way. When flounder larvae first hatch, they look like normal fish. They swim upright. They have eyes on both sides of their head like any other fish. But then something extraordinary happens. As the larvae develop, one eye begins migrating across the skull. Over the course of days, that eye literally moves through or over the top of the head to join the other eye on one side. The fish tips over onto its side and begins life as a bottom dweller. Summer flounder are left-eyed, meaning both eyes end up on the left side of their body. The side with eyes becomes the top, facing upward toward the surface. The blind side becomes the bottom, pressed against the seafloor. And that's when the real magic begins. The top side of a flounder can change color and pattern to match its surroundings. Sand, the flounder becomes sandy. Gravel, the pattern shifts to match. This camouflage is so effective that these fish are nearly invisible when resting on the bottom. But it gets better. Flounder can also burrow. Using rapid undulating movements of their body and fins, they can throw sand and sediment over themselves, leaving only their eyes exposed. A predator swimming overhead might pass within inches and never detect the buried flounder. This combination of color change and burial behavior makes them incredibly effective ambush predators. They wait motionless for prey, then strike with explosive speed. The species we're focusing on today is summer flounder, Paralichthys dentatus, commonly called fluke in the northeastern United States. These fish have 5 to 14 eye-like spots scattered across their topside. These oscillated spots might serve to confuse predators or possibly play a role in species recognition. Summer flounder range from Nova Scotia down to Florida, but they're most abundant from North Carolina to Massachusetts, and they're hugely important both commercially and recreationally. In 2024, total landings of summer flounder reached approximately 14.5 million pounds. The fishery is split 55% commercial and 45% recreational based on historical baseline data from 1980 to 1989. These fish grow impressively large. The average summer flounder reaches sexual maturity at 2 years and weighs 1 to 3 pounds, typically 15 to 20 inches in length, but they can grow much larger. The largest specimens reach 26 pounds and can live up to 20 years, with females making up the biggest and oldest fish. They're voracious predators with sharp, well-developed teeth on both upper and lower jaws. They feed on smaller fish, squid, crustaceans, basically anything they can catch and swallow. This aggressive feeding behavior is part of what makes them such popular sport fish. Now let's talk about the fishery itself. Summer flounder migrate seasonally. In winter, they move offshore to deeper water where spawning occurs. Peak spawning happens from October through February in waters 50 to 300 feet deep. As spring arrives, mature flounder migrate back inshore to coastal waters, bays, estuaries, creeks, and nearshore areas where they'll feed aggressively through summer and fall. This predictable migration pattern allows commercial fisheries to target them efficiently. The primary commercial fishing method is bottom otter trawling. These are cone-shaped nets towed along the seafloor. The mouth of the net is held open by large otter boards, metal and wood structures that act like underwater kites. As the net drags across the bottom, flounder are scooped up. Pound nets and gill nets are also used in estuarine waters, but trawling accounts for the majority of commercial catch. The fishery is intensively managed. Norway Fisheries and the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission work together because flounder migrate between federal and state waters. There are size limits to protect juveniles, there are possession limits, there are seasonal closures, and most importantly, there's a quota system. The coast-wide commercial quota is divided among states based on historical landings. When a state's quota is filled, that state's fishery must close. This management system was implemented because summer flounder were severely overfished in the 1980s. Commercial landings peaked at 37.7 million pounds in the 1980s. The stock collapsed. In 1993, the quota system was implemented and landings dropped as low as 5.8 million pounds in 2017. But management worked. The stock has been rebuilding. By 2024, commercial landings had recovered to 9 million pounds. From the moment a trawl net is hauled aboard, time is critical. On deck, the crew works fast. Fish are sorted by species and size. Any undersized flounder below the legal minimum are immediately returned to the water alive. Legal fish are packed in ice in the hold. Temperature must drop quickly to slow bacterial growth and preserve quality. Most vessels return to port within hours of fishing, not days. This rapid turnaround is crucial for flounder quality. Within 6 hours of catch, flounder arrive at processing facilities. Temperature is checked immediately. A good flounder should still be at 32 to 34 degrees Fahrenheit. Quality inspectors examine eyes, which should be clear and bright, not cloudy. Gills should be bright red, not brown or grey. The flesh should be firm and spring back when pressed, not soft or mushy. These indicators tell the processor everything about how the fish was handled. Processing begins with washing. High-pressure ice-cold water removes any external debris, slime, and blood. Then comes scaling. Flounder have relatively smooth scales compared to some species, but they still need removal. Mechanical scaling drums tumble the fish, while water jets blast away scales. The fish emerge clean and ready for filleting, and this is where skill matters. A good flounder fillet worker can process fish incredibly fast while maximizing yield. The technique requires precision. The knife follows the contour of the bone structure, separating flesh from frame with minimal waste. Summer flounder yield is typically around 40 to 45%. Meaning a 3-pound whole fish produces about 1.2 to 1.4 pounds of boneless fillet. The skeleton, head, skin, and viscera account for the rest. After filleting, the work continues. Pin bones, those small intramuscular bones that run through the fillet, must be removed. Workers feel along the fillet with fingertips, detecting bones by touch. Tweezers extract any detected fragments. This is tedious, meticulous work, but it's what separates a premium product from a mediocre one. Skin removal is typically mechanized. A sharp blade positioned between skin and flesh pulls the skin away in one piece as the fillet passes through. The result is pure white flounder flesh, ready for packaging. Quality control is continuous. Random samples go to the lab for microbiological testing. pH is measured. Fresh flounder should have a pH around 6.5. Higher values indicate spoilage. Texture is analyzed. Moisture content is checked. Metal detectors scan every fillet. And all this data is recorded, creating a complete traceability system from boat to plate. Packaging varies by market. Fresh fillets for supermarkets are placed on foam trays with absorbent pads, wrapped in clear plastic and labeled with species, weight, price, and best buy date. Food service operations get vacuum-sealed portions. Frozen product goes through blast freezing at -25 degrees Fahrenheit, then gets glazed with a thin protective ice layer before bagging. Each package carries a lot number that can be traced back to the specific fishing vessel and catch date. Now let's address what everyone wants to know. Is flounder safe to eat? We already mentioned mercury. At 0.056 parts per million, flounder is extraordinarily safe. But mercury isn't the only concern people have. What about other contaminants? Flounder are bottom dwellers, so they're exposed to whatever's in the sediment. However, they're also relatively short-lived compared to top predators. They don't bioaccumulate contaminants to the same degree as long-lived species. Studies have found flounder to be low in PCBs, low in dioxins, and generally clean from a food safety perspective. The FDA monitoring program consistently finds flounder to be one of the safest seafood options. Nutritionally, flounder is impressive. A 127-gram cooked fillet contains approximately 148 calories, 30 grams of high-quality protein, and only 2 grams of fat. It's extraordinarily lean. Omega-3 content is moderate at about 0.45 grams per serving. That's not as high as salmon or mackerel, but it's still significant. Flounder is also an excellent source of vitamin B12, selenium, phosphorus, and niacin. For people looking for lean protein with minimal calories, flounder is nearly perfect. The mild, slightly sweet flavor and firm texture make it extremely versatile in cooking. Sustainability is more complex. Summer flounder populations were severely depleted by overfishing through the 1980s and early 1990s. The implementation of strict management measures in 1993 started the recovery. Currently, the stock is not overfished, and overfishing is not occurring according to the most recent NOAA assessments. The commercial quota system, size limits, and seasonal closures have worked. However, rebuilding is ongoing for some stock components. The fishery is managed conservatively to allow continued population growth. Environmental groups like the Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch rate U.S. Atlantic summer flounder as a good alternative, noting that while management has improved the stock status, there are still concerns about bycatch of other species in trawl fisheries and habitat impacts from bottom trawling. The reality is that bottom trawling is not gentle on marine habitat. The heavy gear scrapes across the seafloor, potentially disturbing benthic communities. However, much of the summer flounder fishery occurs on sandy or muddy bottom, where habitat recovery is relatively rapid. Trawling on hard bottom or sensitive habitats causes more lasting damage. Regulators have implemented area closures and gear restrictions to protect the most vulnerable habitats. It's an ongoing balancing act between fishing industry economics and ecosystem protection. Other flatfish in the Atlantic include winter flounder, yellowtail flounder, and witch flounder. Winter flounder were once incredibly abundant, but suffered severe population declines. Commercial landings dropped to historic lows of 0.69 million pounds in 2022. Winter flounder are now tightly regulated with very conservative quotas as the stock attempts to rebuild. Yellowtail flounder has 3 separate stocks, most of which are overfished and subject to rebuilding plans. Summer flounder, by comparison, is the success story. Aggressive management worked, and the population is recovering. From Atlantic bottom trawls, hauling flounder from sandy seafloor 50 feet below the surface, through auction houses where buyers examine eyes and gills to judge freshness, to processing facilities where skilled workers fillet hundreds of fish per hour, to blast freezers that drop temperature 60 degrees in minutes, to supermarket seafood cases where pristine white fillets rest on crushed ice. This journey represents the most intensively managed flatfish fishery on the East Coast. Summer flounder, with their remarkable camouflage abilities, their bottom-dwelling lifestyle, and their delicious mild flavor, have become a cornerstone of Atlantic coast fishing communities. The fact that you can eat them with essentially zero mercury concern makes them one of the safest seafood choices available. The next time you see flounder at the fish counter, you'll know it came from Atlantic waters between Maine and North Carolina. You'll know it was caught with bottom trawls, probably in spring or summer as the fish migrated inshore. You'll know it was processed within hours of catch. You'll know it has the lowest mercury level of any major commercial fish. And you'll know that strict quota management has allowed this once depleted population to recover. If this journey fascinated you, if you learned something about Atlantic fisheries and seafood processing, leave a like and comment what surprised you most. Was it the eye migration during development? The 0.056 parts per million mercury level? The 14.5 million pound fishery? Or the strict management that brought the stock back from collapse? Subscribe because our next video covers cod, and that story involves centuries of fishing history and modern rebuilding effort. It's important to clarify that the process presented in this video is 100% fictional, and all images are merely illustrative, generated by artificial intelligence for educational purposes. The facilities shown do not represent specific real factories, but rather a recreation based on real industrial processes, documented and verified. The information presented was based on verifiable data from NOAA Fisheries, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, specifically data on summer flounder, winter flounder, and yellowtail flounder stocks and fisheries management. FDA, Food and Drug Administration, Mercury and Fish Monitoring Program data showing flounder at 0.056 parts per million mean concentration. Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, summer flounder fishery management data, including 2024 landings of 5 million pounds. Mid-Atlantic Fishery Management Council, Summer Flounder Fishery Management Plan Specifications, USDA Food Data Central, Nutritional Composition Data for Cooked Flounder Fillets, Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch, Sustainability Assessments for Atlantic Flounder Fisheries.